All right, as we promised you, we are back on the air doing our podcast. Welcome to Worldwide Geocaching Podcast here on My Podcast Radio. I'm your host, Hiker James 52.
And Crazy Critter 66.
There we go. Otherwise known as HJ 52 and CC 66 as we sign our logs out there. Okay, well, we don't know. It's been a while, like I said, since we've been on here, so might need a little push there to get some things out. But last geocaching that we went on to was last weekend, wasn't it? That would be putting us in there about somewhere. What? This was it? This weekend? This last weekend, Saturday, I think it was. Or?
Yes.
Okay, last Saturday, on the 12th. Anyway, we did a power run up what we call them up north, but we're in Florida, so I don't know what they call them down here in Florida. It's guardrails where they have a geocache every 1/10 of a mile, and we found the first one. Now this was stretched out over 1.5 miles. It was like 15 of them.
Yes.
So here we are at the number one, and we found it. So I pulled up on the highway, and no sooner I didn't even get up to the speed, and it was showing that the next one was right there. So we pulled off the road. We got that. So again, we get back up on the highway. Before we got up to the speed, there's the next one. Well, you know how it goes. We did this for 15 of them. But the only thing is, we only got 14. There was one right in the middle of all of those that we could not find. That was number, was it 11?
11.
Yeah, number 11. So when we got to number 12, it was different. They had changed the game plan with the cache, and it was totally unreal what they did. And I'm not going to give it away or anything, but it was totally different than what the first 10 was. I thought, well, okay, now we know what we're looking for. We'll go back to the 11 and look for it. So we go back there, and how long did we look for that?
About 20 minutes.
Probably about the same amount of time as did the first time, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And could not find it anywhere. So we went on to number 13, 14, 15. So I told my wife, I said, well, won't we stop one more time and look for it on the way back? Okay. So we pulled off the road there at number 11, and we looked again for how long? Maybe a little longer than that.
About 30 minutes.
Yeah, about 30 minutes we looked for it. Couldn't find it nowhere. For any kind of cache that I've ever seen or could think of, hiding place or whatever. I mean, what more? Where else could you put one on a guardrail but on the guardrail? And we looked that over. We looked 10 feet both directions of ground zero and couldn't find it. All the rest of them was within 3 feet, 2 feet, yeah. And so it's kind of aggravating because that was like 35 miles from here.
Yes.
And there's only one now that stands out that we couldn't find, and I don't think we'll go back and try to look for it.
No. Maybe
put a watch on it and see if anybody else finds it. But the last person before us found it. That's what was aggravating. That makes you want to look more and longer. But anyway, we've been pretty well spreading out now for our geocaches. We started out at the closest one to home, which was a hard one to get. Tower log. Yep.
Oh, I dislike tower log.
It was called tower log, and it kind of threw you off on the container because It's called a regular size container, but it's a micro. And we went and looked for it. We couldn't find it nowhere. GPS bounced quite a bit that day, and we was all over the place. But then we said we'd give it up and go back the next time. So second time out, we looked everywhere, and GPS wasn't quite so bad. So we narrowed it down to probably what 10, 15 foot radius.
Yeah.
And what we thought it wasn't. And where we thought it'd be, it wasn't. So I don't know. I stopped there once without my wife, and I looked, didn't find it nowhere. So the next time we come back through, we stopped again and looked and looked and looked. Could not find it. So this was her second try. My third try. I went back and looked again. It's on the way, back and forth to the store and whatnot, but we looked everywhere and about to give up on the whole thing. Well, anyway, I messaged the owner, and they told me, give me another clue, and that didn't help any. But so what happened at the end of it was my fifth try and Crazy Critter's third try, we found it. And man, I'm telling you, it was a mess.
Well, it didn't help that it fell out of the container and we had to dig under leaves to find it.
Yeah, we did have to find the cache. It was bison tube.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in, well, it's in the name. The name is in the name. Tower log.
There you go.
Yeah, but I wouldn't call it a log. I would call it a tree limb. Anyway, we found it and we signed it, and now we're spread out to where we're going 8 to 10 miles away from home to find more.
And sometimes 30.
Well, yeah, we picked that one because we was in that area the week before that, and seeing where there was a lot more, just a few miles more farther than where we were.
Right.
And now we're going back. We've even there's one we've went and trying to find twice, maybe 3 times, and everybody's finding it, and we're not.
We're just not good enough. That's all.
That's it. So we ran into a geocacher. It was a child, I guess you would say. She was probably about 12, maybe.
I figure 12 or 13.
Yeah, and her dad was taking her around finding all these geocaches. And we ran into them at one. And the funny thing about that, it was a lamp skirt. we was signing the log when they pulled up, and I told my wife, I says, let's just not put it back. Let's let them look for it. But anyway, no, we was putting it back under the skirt just as they was coming up, and right there on it. And we noticed on their log, when they logged it after us, it says, "Well, how'd she put that? Easy find."
Yeah.
Easy find. I guess so. She seen where it was at when we was there.
But that's only the obvious place that it should have been anyway.
Oh yeah.
There wasn't much else out there.
There was bushes there, but yeah, when you see a lamp post, it's a lamp post.
That's the first place you look.
That's right. So another one we found that the GPS was bouncing around, but it showed that it was under a bridge.
Oh yes.
And we ran into a woman. She was just pulled up and was out of a car walking toward the bridge when we was coming around the corner of the bridge. Found out she was geocaching, and she said she'd been there before, but I don't remember what it was. It was too slippery or something. There was rocks and water and everything else, and then you gotta go under the bridge. Well, my phone, even with the GPS, when you get underneath a bunch of steel, you're going to lose signal. So you can't, all you can do is kind of get an idea where you're at with it and then walk on. Well, it said I was 15 feet from it, but I didn't know what direction to go that 15. Well, I couldn't go one way because I'd be in the water. So,
well, trying to find it though was hard because we was on top of the bridge and it said it was on the bridge.
Right.
So we're looking all over the bridge, going back and forth on top of it, and then discovered, hey, maybe it's underneath the bridge.
Right.
That's when we went under to look.
Yeah, and we was under there for quite a while. I guess we would look for that for a good 30 minutes.
Probably so.
And there was 3 of us now. And, wow, I'm telling you, when we found it, yeah. That was a good hide.
I like that one.
Right. We haven't found anything, exciting, like anything that was made into something worth seeing. I mean, most of the things we've been finding was nanos and small containers.
Say we haven't found anything unique.
Yeah, unique.
Because we've seen almost everything they put out now.
We haven't found any unique stuff since, I guess, up in Ohio.
Right.
And a lot of them was ones I made.
Yeah.
But there was some good ones. When we first started geocaching, we started back in 2011. First time we went looking for geocaches. We found what we thought was unique, and now we find out that that's just standard geocaching.
Well, that's when we first started, though.
Yeah.
We didn't really know.
Right. Yeah, we didn't know where to look and what to find. I remember that one that was Block 9.
You just got to keep bringing up Block 9, don't you?
Block 9 up there in Piqua, Ohio. That was a booger, I'm telling you. Best I can explain that one. We went back to that, 3 or 4 times, or 6, was it?
I think that was more like 5 or 6.
5 or 6 times to try to find that one.
And once we seen it, it was so obvious.
Yeah, but and we looked at it a few times. But it never dawned on us because we knew at it, It was one of those light cover plates, cover plate for a light switch.
Underneath the table.
Right.
Why would there be one of those underneath the table?
Yeah. So we found that one, and that was a start to our geocaching. I think the first one that we tried to find, I couldn't find it, and my wife walked right up to it.
That was just pure luck on my part.
Yeah, I'd looking under the rock and behind the rock and everything else, and I think it was just laying by the rock, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
That's the thing about it, when you're new, you are definitely green.
That's an understatement. Sometimes they are pretty interesting, though. I mean, like I said, I've done things since I haven't done these kind of things since I was probably 13 or 14. Like sticking your hands in holes and hoping there's not a little bitty critter in it somewhere. Climbing trees, which I was afraid of. Getting on my hands and knees to look under stuff. Yeah, this is when youth comes in handy.
Yeah, but we're still getting out there and doing it. I mean, it's not that it's no strain on us.
Oh, that's true. It's a little scary once in a while, though, with that little poking your holes in hands and things.
Remember that one cache we found down here that they had it camouflaged with snakeskin tape?
Oh, yeah. I would never have stuck my hand in that hole.
It looked like a rattlesnake skin.
Yep.
But it was duct tape. That was, and I seen it. But I thought, that has to be the cache, so I stuck my hand in there and got it anyway.
I am not that brave. I won't lie.
Yeah, that was a good one there.
I think my funniest one, though, I have to tell you, is that statue in that park.
Oh, no, you're going to bring that up too, are you?
Well, if you had pictures, you'd see how hysterical this really was. It was this big statue sitting on a bench, and we knew it was somewhere around that statue. So my husband is under there looking under the butt of this statue, and he's on his hands and knees, and people are starting to look, and I'm just sitting there thinking, oh, I'm going to have to tell people I let him out of the closet finally. I had him locked up. What else could I say?
Yeah, that was, and it was in a park.
It was, and there was a lot of people around.
Like
it was
having
comical.
a family reunion over there, not too far from us.
And a birthday party.
A birthday party and stuff going on. But I told my wife, I said, I'm going to look, because I don't want to walk away and leave this thing. And when else can you get a chance to go to a park when there's nobody there?
And again, I'm not brave enough.
Yeah. But we found it. It was underneath him.
It was.
I was looking on him, you know, like between his legs and stuff.
Yeah, you was doing that too, and that was kind of comical looking.
Oh boy, I don't know what people thought of me, but I didn't care. I didn't care what they thought of me.
Oh boy, no, you don't. I mean, there's been some. You'll walk into places and have people look at you. You don't care. Me, I'm like, no. I don't want these people staring at me because I don't want to know what they're thinking. They worry me.
I remember that my first, my 100th cache.
Mm-hmm.
I've celebrated a 100 cache. I had a picture of it somewhere. I don't even know if I got it, but I do have the coin, the 100 cache coin. It was in a racetrack, back behind the racetrack in the woods, and I looked for that thing for probably half an hour too, and then when I found it, it was just laying right there,
right in plain sight.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a puzzle coin box. I don't know if y'all know what I'm talking about. It's got that little ball in it, and you move it around and get the ball to follow down, and the ball has to get to the bottom of it to open the latch up. And I spent I know it was 25 minutes on that. I finally got it open.
So almost an hour on the one cache.
Yeah. Nobody was around, you know. I mean, it was on a weekday. They only have the racetrack going on the weekends, so there was a couple people out there messing with their horses and stuff, but they wasn't right there where they could see what I was doing. When I drove out of there, they probably wondering what I was doing back there.
Oh, you mean kind of like the police officer that pulled over and asked us how we were and what we were doing?
Yeah.
Uptown, when we found that cache on the little rail and that officer pulls up.
Mm-hmm.
I was just about to start to shake. How do you explain to this man what you're doing out here behind a building where nobody can see you? But he understood, so I guess he had heard about it enough. He knew what we were doing, and he kind of went on.
Yeah, most of them know because, I mean, they see people going to them spots all the time, and they find out what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
Just like that one in the park. Nowhere was it locked, and it was west of us there. They had one at the ballpark. All this big, huge electrical box there that runs all the power for the big lights, and I call them spotlights. I mean, you know, I'm talking about the lights around the baseball diamond. And,
huge lights.
Yeah, and all the power for microphones and stuff. And I found the cache there. And while I was taking it apart to get to it, the city police pulled up there. He stopped and he looked at me, and I looked at him, and he drove away.
He knew what you were doing too.
Yeah, he does. They probably know where all of them are.
I wouldn't be surprised. They probably get a lot of phone calls about suspicious people looking around places they probably shouldn't.
Well, in some places now you have to let them know where they are. So
you do.
If somebody calls in a suspicious looking package or something, then know from where it's at, you know, that it's a geocache.
Well, how many geocaches have been blown up because they were suspicious looking packages? The guy that remember the one that they blew up and the fire department wrote sorry about your cache?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
He wrote boom.
Yep.
He wrote boom on it too. I'm telling you. But anything that's got wires showing in it or anything, they don't want that. That's a no-no.
You think about the way the world is today. Everybody's worried about stuff like that, so you got to kind of. Well, it's like they have the tubes that are camouflaged that they actually write geocache across.
Right.
So you'll know.
Well, we're having fun with it, anybody should have fun with it. If you're just listening to this and don't know what geocaching's about, go to www.geocaching.com, and that's spelled Geocaching. Geocaching.com. I can't remember what the slash something.
Oh, I don't remember.
But it's Geocaching 101. Or just ask, just type in Google and say, what is geocaching? And it should take you right there to it. But I can't remember the name, slash something, and it takes you all kinds of questions where people have asked questions and they've answered them. Tells you what kind of caches there are. There's different kinds of caches. There are different size caches.
And there's lots of videos on YouTube showing different kinds.
Oh yeah, just type in geocaching on YouTube and watch some of them videos. You'll see some really nice looking caches.
Really interesting too.
Yeah. So one guy had a geocache that looked like a birdhouse, and it had a little chimney on it and everything. Took electric antenna off of an old Pontiac or whatever it was, a Cadillac, and he mounted that inside the box. And there was a post on the post there. There was two bolts sticking out, a red one and a black one. So what you have to do is have to have jumper cables, and when you hook the jumper cables up, black to black, red to red, the antenna shoot up out of the chimney, and the cache that was like a bison tube too.
Oh wow!
And it would be connected to that antenna. And then you reverse your jumper cables, put red on black and black on red
to put it back
and
down.
It'll bring that right back down.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, I haven't. Now the one up at that park we found that day, that was a reflector.
Oh yeah.
I've never seen one of them. I've seen little plates on a sign, little signs on a gate. And if you raise that sign up, there'll be a geocache there. But this was
It was a reflector. And the reason I noticed it was because it had a screw in the top of it, but not one in the bottom. That's what made me think to move it and look.
Yeah, just turn it, and there was a hole already in the post.
Yeah.
And just big enough for, I think that was a nano, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's all kinds of them. I'm telling you, some of them's on a stick. Like a branch or something. I've seen logs where I've drilled holes in posts and stuff, and used a bolt. It looked like a bolt, and I made my own with a clear plastic tubing, and I connect that to the bolt and put the cache in there and slide it into that hole, and it just looks like it's supposed to be there, like a bolt. Cable connectors. You see where they connect their cable line with a connector, and I made a geocache out of that. But it's exciting. We're gonna start doing some more caches, and we're gonna start bringing it in here on the radio and let everybody know what we've been doing and how it's going. But if anybody wants to give us some information on their geocaching and stuff, give us a call. The phone number to reach us on is 239-285-1574, and we look forward to hearing from somebody to talk to them about their geocaching adventures. And if you want to, you can even be on our radio. Just let us know. And it's fun. We can do a call in on what they call it, a conference call. We can do a conference call and record it, and then we can upload it on here. We were doing some live shows, but we didn't get anybody calling in on them, so we've done away with the live. Now everything's pre-recorded. So anyway, that's about it. We're 25 minutes into our show, and we only have 30. And so, yeah, we stayed alive for half an hour.
Oh, we did it!
So, you know, what they always say at the end is everybody be safe, be careful out there when you're geocaching. Take somebody with you in case something goes wrong. Until next week, we're going to try to do this weekly. Till next week, cache on.